So once you go to South, go to the library page, and this is what you're going to see. Remember, ignore this because that's not actually going to help you. That was just there. Somebody put it up. It hasn't been removed yet. What you care about is down here, and the one I want you guys to focus. The Gale Virtual Reference Library here is okay, but the one that's probably going to help us the most is here, and it's EBSCOhost. And it's just a bunch of different databases all sort of rolled into one. And so that's why it's nice, because it's kind of a one-stop for everything. So we get out of here, we click on this. From here, we can go directly to it. But when you get off campus, I will put up I will link to you guys in here. I can't link it on YouTube. The web page. I can't link the login and password, so you'll have to go back and find those on Classroom. I'm not going to do it on Remind either. Because part of the idea of this was to find a pro and a con, probably your best one is called Points of View. Okay, so you click on Points of View, and there you go. Picture's not a button. We just learned that. And so it'll give you current in the news topics, or you can go and browse by category, or you can go up here and you can search what you want. So if we want to put, like, say, gender in media, hit OK, and then search it. Now, this only gave us one, so we might want to be a little less specific. So like talking gender in cyberspace, and so that talking about that in media. Now, the nice thing here is if you take a look to the side here, there's a number of tools here you can look at, but for us, this one doesn't have a full text citation, and that becomes part of the problem. So, it does over here. They changed it around a little bit. So over here you have the record of it. So let's say you need to cite it. This will help you with a citation. But if you want to see the whole article, you just click on that. And they give you the whole article. So you have everything here you need to see. And it's going to give you some concept of, like, these tend to fall either on a pro or a con statute. Yeah. Sure. So this would be what I'd look at first. Now, if you aren't in love with this, you can always go back, and the other one I would suggest, see everything under gender specific, like global foreign policy, so media, so things like, for example, you could go here to media communications, and here's all the different stuff they have in here that are kind of large scale ideas. They don't really have something that specifically like says gender. That's going to be sort of a subcategory of other categories. The other one you can use if you are so inclined is I've actually used a bit, I think it's the Discovery Services. And so you go here, and so you can kind of go through each of these. Some of these are not going to be helpful, like ones that are about novels, for example, are not going to be super helpful because that's not what you're looking for. You want to look at things that are articles or other such ideas. But you might want to avoid the literary books and things like that. You with me so far? But the nice thing about going to a database is it's curated. You guys heard that term before, curated? Do you know what it means? So when we talk about curation, what we're talking about is the idea that within that database, they've sort of taken the stuff that they feel is going to be helpful and necessary, and they've kept that, and they've weeded out all the stuff they don't feel is going to fit what you need. And so since these are scholarly databases, they've basically gotten rid of other stuff. Because part of the problem is if I go to Google and I just simply type in something like gender.
What do you think, Mr. Mintz? 35.5 is too dang cold.
It's a bit cold. I would agree with that.
We're almost at freezing. Like, if you guys want your soda cold, just put it in my room and come back in a few hours.
So if you put in something like gender in media here, now there are a couple things that could be helpful in Google. The first thing would be a news article. Now, news articles aren't always great within themselves because sometimes news articles can be well, not fake, but they're opinion articles. So sometimes articles don't differentiate between being what's called an editorial and being a news article. So if you guys watch, say, like CNN or Fox News, and there's a person sitting in a chair staring at the camera talking for an hour, that's not a news show. That's what we call an editorial. And an editorial show or an editorial article is, in fact, that. Someone giving their take or view on the news itself. They are telling you how they feel and therefore how they feel you should feel about the news. Does that make sense? That's not what we're looking for. However, and even within a news article, the person who's doing the article is often not an expert in the field. But what are they doing? They are quoting and interviewing people who are experts. Why do we want expert quotes, especially in this? There's not going to be hard data in a lot of your stuff. You're not going to find out of 1,000 people, this many people experience this. You're going to find more sort of like, this is the trend we see. So since there's not hard data, why does a quote from, say, a psychologist or a sociologist or a psychologist, I think I said that one twice, why does that make a difference?
Because it's credible.
Right, and that's perfect. It adds credibility. We are not experts. We are people sitting at a high school. So if you say, well, I think this, that's fantastic. No one cares. Because it doesn't matter. You're not a credible source. You're trying to find credible sources. So the thing is, if you look in the news section, if there's an article on something, they are probably going and doing the research for you. They are finding the credible source. So when you quote that article, you're probably not actually quoting the reporter, but the person the reporter interviewed. Thank you. That's the first thing. Why you have to be conscious of that is because we come back to this all tab. This is anything on the internet that might have those words in it. Can you make a website right now? Could you go online and just make a website if you felt like it? Yeah, and that becomes the problem, is that there is no curation for sources in the internet at large. The other one you can look at is this one here where you see it says scholarly articles on gender and media. And Google Scholar now takes, what they'll do is they'll take books and scholarly articles. That means articles written for like collegiate and educational publications, and that's in its own separate category. The only downside with these is that at times you might not get the entire thing. It might ask you to pay for this stuff because this is what stuff that databases collect, and databases make their money by charging a monthly subscription fee. Some of these you'll have access to, some of them you won't. The ones on South High's website you will always have access to. Does that make sense? So these are the ways you can cut down the entire internet into usable chunks. So number one, go to our databases. Number two, go to Google News or Google Scholar. That's where I would hang out. Do not go Google All. Google All is every potential thing on the internet with those words in it. It's a lot to go through, right? Let somebody else do the work. They've already put in the time. Use that. You with me? Okay. So by tomorrow, I should have a pro article. So by the end of class tomorrow, when you walk out of here, and this is part of your final grade, meaning that it will go into the grade that is registered as your final, I need to see an article about your topic proving your answer. You with me? Okay. So that is what we're going to have by tomorrow. Here are some research things. If you're still struggling with this and you want help,